If you want to raise money for your business, you're in the right place. We're going to be using AI to help us with the fundraising process. Now, this applies whether you are a startup and you're just looking for your first tranche of cash to get off the ground, whether you are already a going concern, you've got revenue and you want to raise more cash so you can increase your profits, or even if you're a charity and you need to apply for grants, you want to apply for funding, maybe government subsidies. I'm going to be covering all of that this week. Now, over the week, we're going to be looking at 5 different parts because fundraising is quite complex. You can see here in the newsletter, we've got nailing our funding requirements. This is sitting down and working out what exactly we need to raise money for and how we need to raise it. Now, this is going to be from different sources, and I'm going to be covering that today in this video. The second part is going to be writing a one-pager. A one-pager is a brief summary saying, hey, this is what I do, this is what I need cash for, and this is what you're going to get in return. We're going to be using ChatGPT to make that process a lot simpler and more focused depending on who it is we're actually talking to. 3, we're going to be building a funding list. We're going to use ChatGPT to research people, institutions that we can talk to about raising cash. And again, that's going to be aligned with our funding requirements and the one pager. So we don't just want to ask anybody for cash, we want to ask the right people. In part 4, we're going to be reaching out to these funders, and I'm going to show you how to make personalized yet automated outreach possible, again, using AI. And then finally, for the people who respond to us and say, hey, yeah, I want to move on to the next step, I'm going to be covering pitch decks, how you put together a pitch deck to send to them in order to start to secure that cash coming into your business. Now, first up, if you are not subscribed to the newsletter, make sure you are, because this is going to be a sequential list of prompts that are going to be sent out to the newsletter subscribers over this week. The first prompt you can see here is going to be helping us to work at our funding requirements. And then there's going to be one prompt per day sequentially each and every day. So follow the link below if you are not subscribed already. Okay, so when we are seeking funds, it's important that we know how much we want to get, and therefore that's going to help us work out where it is we need to go. If I go to a venture capitalist looking for $50,000, I'm going to get laughed out of the room. They are just going to ignore me totally. That's not the kind of game they play. A venture capitalist is going to be looking for investments of at least over $500,000, with the median going in several million. I think the median last year was about 6 million in the US. So if you go to them and say, hey, I want $15,000 for this, you're in the wrong place. You're not going to get any cash. You're going to get laughed at. So you can see here, I've got a really rough list of different types of funding sources and where that cash can come from and what kind of band of size that cash comes in. So friends and family, we're talking about under 50K, angels, 25 to 50K. Again, this is generalizations. Accelerators and incubators tend to start around 10K. Some are smaller, and they'll range up to 100K. Crowdfunding, again, this could go into the millions. There are some crowdfunding campaigns that do, but generally, most of them, you see them sitting at this range of under 100K. VCs, you're looking at over $500,000. Banks, totally varies, as do most institutional investors, so corporate investors, government, charity grants and loans. It's going to depend on what's on offer at that particular time. The point is you need to know who it is you should be approaching. And what I've done is I've created a prompt that does just that. Now, this is a coaching prompt. It's going to ask you a series of questions. Because this is a complex topic, working out who you need to get cash from. But ChatGPT knows the answers. We just need to work through a process, a coaching process using this prompt. And it's going to elicit from you and from your requirements, from your business model, from your need for that cash, where it is that you should be seeking money. So go ahead and copy this. This will be below the video as well as in the newsletter. Stick it into ChatGPT and it's going to run you through the questions. Now, the more answers you give it, the better the result's going to be. So don't just skip through and give it random things like as much money as possible for, whatever I want. You need to give it specifics and then it's going to give you specifics back. If you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So I've put in some examples for the newsletter. I talked about my own business and it said, hey, these are a couple of things you could be looking at. You could look at revenue-based financing. You could look at small business grants, microloans, angel investors, crowdfunding, or bootstrapping through pre-sales. Again, this is all based on the details that I gave it and they're specific to my business. So make sure you use the prompt and you go through yourself. Okay, so in this example, I actually asked for 15,000 funding, so a small amount, because I wanted to see how it would deal with that. I wanted to make sure ChatGPT didn't say, go and talk to Goldman Sachs, they'll sort you out, no problem. It didn't. Instead, it said, go and talk to these small elements like microloans, angel investors, small business grants, etc., which is valid and reasonable for the $15,000 that I was suggesting during the example. So the other thing that this prompt is going to do is give you some pushback, and this is important if you're raising any amount of funds. You are going to get pushback from investors, so you need to be ready to counter the pushbacks you're going to get. So what's happening with this prompt is that, as well as telling you, hey, these are the sources you can get the cash from, it's also going to say, have you thought about this, and this? Investors are going to ask you this. So the earlier you think about this, and the more refined you get in your thinking, the better. So I've asked ChatGPT to do that directly for you. And then in the VIP area, well, I'm not going to go through that. That goes to our VIPs, but I've taken the prompt a little bit further in order to not just say, hey, these are your options, but instead to say, this is your single best option, follow this option above all others, and to give reasoning for why. If you are not a VIP yet, that is $5 a month, and for that you receive the premium issue every single day. You're going to get an extension, which is about the same again as what you're seeing already in the normal issue. You get the same again, and it's in a lot more detail. So if there's something of interest, it's only $5 and it does help my work. Right. So that is going to give us our first part. It's going to tell us who it is we should be talking to. We're going to take that into part 2 in the next video, in the next newsletter, which is going to then work on who it is we need to talk to, the fundraiser, and help us to write a one-pager based on our business and based on our funding requirements.